Hello, YouTube, and welcome back to yet again another episode of Conant Reacts. Today is going to be a little bit of a different episode. Today is not going to be a reaction stream. I recently had Windsor Ontario musician MATT SCALZO reach out and ask me to review some of his new music and some stuff that he's been working on for the last little bit that he's really excited to release. And so we decided to sit down and have a chat about his new project and how it's going to be different from anything that he's done in the past. And I'm really looking forward to this album. I have been given the opportunity to react to it early, and all I can say is it was amazing. But if you want more details, you are going to have to go to the link. But it's going to be set as a premiere for October 8th because that is when the songs will be coming out. So I will have a link for the premiere, the words, in the description below, so that way you guys can go over, click it, and get notified for when that goes live. Because it is going to be amazing. I am really looking forward to this album, as I've said. Without any further ado, though, we are just going to get straight into today's video. I hope you really do enjoy. Without any further ado, let's just cue that intro. So
Oh yeah.
the first thing that I wanted to talk to you about this new project is what inspired you to start this new project? What made you kind of want to do this?
Well, really, the pandemic had a lot to do with this. I play in another band called American Airport Sushi, which is getting up there and being kind of known amongst people in the Windsor scene and in Toronto and whatnot. So that took up a lot of my time, and then all of a sudden the pandemic came and stopped everything. And I wasn't doing work with sushi as much, and we couldn't rehearse, we couldn't do shows. So I had all this free time, and I was like, well, I might as well channel this and just put it into something of my own. So that's where Farewell at Last came into play. And over the course of the pandemic as well, there was a lot of stuff that happened in my personal life that was very difficult and very depressing and dark to deal with. Going into it, I lost my mom in April to cancer. So April 2020, I lost my mom uh, to breast cancer, and it was gut wrenching. And then having to deal with being isolated through basically a whole year and not being able to go out and see friends and see family and live a normal life. It took a toll on me, and it brought up some dark thoughts and put me in some pretty dark places. And this was my outlet, and this was how I was able to channel all that and get out any frustrations and any feelings of negativity and darkness. Just get them all out on a piece of paper and play them through a guitar.
Well, first, I'd like to say that I'm really sorry to hear about your mother's passing. I also recently lost my grandmother, so I do know how that feels, and I'm sorry that you're going through that.
Yes, thank you. My condolences as well. I know what that's like, and it's terrible to lose someone, especially someone like my mom, who was a very strong supporter of me, and encouraged me to pursue music full time, and just really loved the passion I had for it. And I felt like that was gone, like that was gone from my life forever. But then I just felt really reinvigorated and really fired up with this new project. And now I'm just so excited that these songs are going to be out and that people are going to hear them. So I can't wait for it to come out.
So I have listened to the songs, and I do have to say that they are really, really, really good. But
Thank you.
for the people that are watching this and aren't sure of what it's going to be like and how different it's going to be from previous things that you've been a part of, what can fans expect from these songs that'll be different from anything that you've done in the past?
Well, these songs are a little more heavier. They're on the heavier side. They're heavier musically and they're heavier lyrically. It's something that I'm very passionate about. I'm a huge fan of heavy music. I love heavy metal. I love hard rock. I love I love classic rock, and this is me. This is who I am. This is what I like. This is what I love. This is what I grew up listening to. This type of music. So you're going to get to hear a lot of that. You're going to get to hear me sing on one of the songs I've written called "Noise in My Head," which is my debut as a singer. Which um, I was very nervous about going in, but I felt it was a good performance on my part, and I'm happy it's done. So I can't wait for that to come out. And me just showing off my chops as a guitar player. You know, a lot of the work I have done in bands like American Airport Sushi and like Disaster Strike previous to that, I was a bass player and all of that. And you know, people know me for my bass playing and whatnot. But now people are going to be able to hear, you know, some of the riffs I can write and what I can do on guitar, which I'm pretty excited about.
That's awesome. Yeah, and that song that you sang in, it was really, really well done. And I never knew that you didn't ever do any singing, because I think I've only really seen you the one time when you were still with Disaster Strike.
Yeah,
Um, but I think the thing that I really enjoyed about this album is, like you had said, the heavier side of it. It was definitely something that I wasn't used to hearing from you, so I really appreciated the different approach to the music, and it was very, very interesting to hear, and I really loved it.
thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, yeah. Actually, it's funny. I was just thinking about that the other day, like, because the last time that, you know, you and I, you know, were in a room together was that show with Disaster Strike, Autumn Kings, and No Resolve, and that was a fun show. That was a good time. But yeah, and you know, I have wonderful memories from that day and from that show as well. So it was a good time for sure.
Yeah, that was actually my very first concert that I've ever gone to. So it was really
Yeah,
cool to be having the experience and then being able to look back at that and say, "Hey, I met this guy like 3, 4 years ago at my very first concert, and we're still
yeah,
in touch. And now he's
yeah.
moving on to more music." It's really, really, really cool.
It's amazing how time flies. You know, it like that's what 3 4 years ago
Hmm.
around this time that show happened, and wow, how you know full circle. It's
Yeah.
crazy. Yeah.
So with again with like your new music and how different it was, have you like reached out to anyone that you've worked with in the past to see if maybe in the future down the road they'd want to like do a collab with your new style and that kind of thing? Like, is there any plans like that in the works?
I'm definitely very open to that idea. Actually, on a few of the tracks, Devin Amiot, the drummer and singer from my old band Disaster Strike, is involved in this as well. He sings on the song "Some Other Day" in sync, and you know he's a best friend of mine. He's a good friend of mine. He's a great musician. He's got a great voice as well, and he's someone that I'm hopeful to collaborate with more. But there's a bunch of guys in you know the city of Windsor, and there's so much talent in this city that I would love to collaborate with everyone if I could. You know, there's a lot of great singers about here. So definitely, like I do have ambitions to do more with this project and bring more, you know, female singers and male singers and whatnot, and just, you know, try and get out of my comfort zone as a musician as well and try new things, different genres even.
Nice. Well, like I said, you are definitely someone that has the talent, and I would love to see, even if you were to do a collaboration with someone like Anthony Giacalone from Among the Rest, who is
Yeah.
also on the heavier side of music. I think something like that would be really interesting too.
Yeah, for sure. I love that band. I love Among the Rest. I think they're a great band. We had a show with those guys and the band I'm doing now, American Airport Sushi. We had a show lined up with them and another local band, Something Grizzly, and there's a all girl punk band from Toronto called the Anti Queens. They were supposed to come to Windsor, and we were supposed to do a big show at where was it? The Dominion House, I believe it was. We were supposed to do it, and this was right at the time when COVID hit. So like that show was going to happen, and then all of a sudden the government was like shut it down. So we did
Mhm.
not get to do that show. But yeah, you know, Anthony's another. He's a guy that I've known for a while. We've been Facebook friends for a while, and I've seen him at shows and whatnot. And I'm a big fan of that band as well. Among the rest, they're great. So yeah, I definitely would consider doing work with him for sure.
Now, with some of the restrictions lifting up and concerts and stuff being more likely in the future, do you have
Yeah.
any future plans for shows or anything like that with your new projects?
With Farewell at Last, um, I would like to do shows with it. I'd love to do one this year if I could, but I have to, I'd have to work with other musicians and whatnot and get them involved, and it's a it's a process to do that, and it's a lot of time constraints and whatnot. So but definitely maybe in the new year in 2022, it's something I'd consider. But with the band I'm doing now, American Airport Sushi, like we're back to doing shows. We did a show a few weeks ago. We were in Toronto, and that was a great time. We got another show on October 22nd here in Windsor at Meteor with Hot Lips, a band from Toronto, and Blood Wolf Moon, who also have relation to the Farewell at Last record because the bass player in that band, Luca Morello, he produced the record and he sang on Dead Man's Game. And Devin's also the drummer of that band, and he sang and played on the record as well. And yeah, there's just a lot on the go, and definitely hopeful. Maybe sometime in 2022, I'll assemble a lineup and we'll do some shows.
Awesome. So, um, with bands, when it comes to picking their new name, I've heard that a lot of thought goes into it, and it's something that like means something to the band. So, with the name of your band, Forever at Last, did you um have a certain thought process for that, or did you just kind of go, "I like this because it sounds cool," type of thing?
Yeah, Devin and I, we were going back and forth on a bunch of band names and whatnot, and I really like the idea of saying goodbye uh, to my past. So at that time when I was writing these songs, I was like very miserable and very depressed, and just I wasn't who I was now, who I am now. Like so for me, like Farewell at Last, it's like saying farewell to your past. So finally, that's done. We're moving on to better, brighter days. So that is kind of where that came into play, and I was like, I liked it enough, and I was like, cool, that works. So, and I have no regrets with going with that name. I have no regrets naming the EP that. I think it's a perfect name for a band. I think it's a perfect EP, and I'm just really excited. It's going to come out in a few weeks.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to the release date. And
Yeah, for sure.
so you've got these songs already done. Do you have you already started working on others, or are you just kind of releasing these, waiting to see what the reaction to those are, and then going to continue after that? Is there like a plan
Yeah,
that you have in motion?
there's a lot cooking in my brain right now of what I want to do with these songs and whatnot. There's music video ideas I have in mind for one of the songs for Dead Man's Game. There's some guitar playthrough video concepts and ideas I have in mind. There's lyric video ideas in mind going through it with these songs. But yeah, I have quite a bit of songs written. I have maybe about 10 to 12 songs that I wrote. Most of them aren't recorded right now, but they will be eventually. And maybe we'll see how the release of this goes and how the reception is, and if there's people want to hear more stuff of what I got, then I definitely consider putting out more.
Nice. Well, I
Yeah,
definitely agree or think that the the demand for these songs is going to end up going really, really high because, as I've said earlier and to you, the songs are really, really good.
thank you, man. I appreciate that. It means a lot. I remember we were doing Disaster Strike when we released that 4-song EP, and we were just like we were in high school, so it's like our songwriting skills weren't really there. They were there, but they were, still in the development stages. But now, flash forward 5, 6 years later, you grow a little bit as a musician. You become a better player. You become a better songwriter. You're reading more. You're understanding the world a lot more clearly, and you're seeing things differently. So now it helped, and now I feel like my songwriting has improved for the better. And I just hope I take it to new levels on the next one. That's all I can hope for.
So I always like to ask musicians this when I'm getting kind of close to the end of the interview. But do you have a plan 5, 10 years from now? Like, where would you like to see Forever at Last in that amount of time?
Ooh, ah,
It's a
I don't really
toughie.
know. It's a tough question. I don't, especially me being in two bands and whatnot. I don't know. Like I just envisioned Farewell at Last right now. I take it baby steps with this. So I just take it like, okay, we have these songs done. We have this release date, and then after that, we'll worry about releasing other stuff to go along with it. So it's just a very baby step thing. It's also more so fun for me to do, for me to come up with my own music. But American Airport Sushi is always going to be my bread and butter, where I go back to and do fun stuff with them and play bass and whatnot. But Farewell at Last, like I could see it, being something that I keep and hold dearly to my heart for years and years to come. So you'll probably be seeing me do it a lot, a lot down the line. Well, will I ever get to be playing arenas or doing amphitheaters? I don't know. I don't envision that. I just envision it being something where I release music and people can listen to it, download it to their Spotify playlist, or they can choose not to listen.
Well, I definitely think that you could go very far with this. All of your
I
music, actually, but definitely with this too.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
So I only have like really one question left because I've covered like everything for the most part. But
Yeah,
the question that I have for you is, is there anything that you'd like to add that maybe I missed or didn't touch up on, kind of thing, like for your sake and for the listeners and everything?
um, no, you pretty much asked everything, and I answered everything honestly. I just would like to say, the EP is called Farewell at Last. The band's called Farewell at Last. We are on Instagram only at Farewell at Last. You can follow me at Matt Scalzo, MATSKULLZO. You can follow my other band, American Airport Sushi, which is at American Airport Sushi on Instagram and Facebook for that band. We American Airport Sushi has a new song coming out on Friday called Space Salsa, which we're very excited about. Farewell at Last is dropping the EP on October 8th, Friday, October 8th. So be sure to follow that. There's going to be the pre-save link that will be down below where you can pre-save it on Spotify. And that's pretty much it. Thanks so much for having me, letting me come on and discuss this music that I have and that I'm very passionate about.
Well, thank you for reaching out.
No problem. Happy to do it anytime, man. Absolutely. There's a lot on the go with me, so
That's good. That's good.
oh yeah,
Well, thank you so much for doing the interview. I had a lot of fun. I hope you did too. And if you end up thinking about things that maybe I didn't end up discussing or anything like that that you want to add, feel free to message me and let me know, type of thing.
for sure, man. For sure. I'm just really curious right now. Like I do this thing where I ask, people that have heard it, like what songs did you gravitate towards the most? Like which songs when you heard you were like, oh, this is good. I like this one. This one wasn't so good. So I'm curious to know like which one did you like the most?
In all honesty, with me, music, I could love or I could hate songs, but for this album, I don't think there was a single song on the album that I didn't enjoy the same or slightly more than the other. So
Nice.
like I don't really have a justifiable answer to that just because the entire album really stuck to the kind of music that I enjoy and every song had its own personal thing that I enjoyed and the whole album was just amazing and all the songs to me were the same level the entire time that I didn't dislike one more and I didn't like one more. Like it was just a really nice, very high level of liking for me, honestly.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much. It's great to hear, and it's good to hear this feedback and criticism of any kind. People have to take and they have to learn how to take it and how to handle it and how to grow from it. It's important, but it's humbling to hear. um, yeah, I'm so excited for people to hear it and people to download it, and because this is me, this is who I am as a songwriter, this is who I am as a guitar player, as a bass player, as a composer. So I can't wait. And thank you so much. Just 1,000 thank yous.
Not a problem. Like I said, anytime that you'd like to do something like this, you just feel free to let me know.
Perfect, man. All right.